Good evening and hello everyone. Thank you for joining us and welcome to this special council meeting. Earlier tonight we opened the meeting of council to discuss a non-planning matter, and we're now at the public planning meeting portion of the agenda. I'd like to advise you that this meeting is being live streamed, audio and video recorded, and shall form part of the record, which will be retained according to the town's retention bylaw. And for more information about that bylaw, you can contact the clerk's office. We'll now ask for a mover and a seconder, please, to reconvene at 6:34 p.m. Moved by Deputy Mayor Fowler, seconded by Councillor Constantine. All those in favor? That is carried. I'll now ask Councillor Richardson to please deliver our land acknowledgement.
The town of Innisfil acknowledges that the town of Innisfil is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history. The town also acknowledges that this land is the traditional territories of the First Peoples of Turtle Island. It is shared between the Anishinaabe peoples of Beausoleil First Nation, Chippewas of Rama First Nation, and Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation, and we thank them for generations of stewardship. This meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people, and as settlers, we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. The town acknowledges the forced sacrifices that are the foundation of Canadian society today. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit.
Thank you, Councillor. We have two planning applications that are being brought forward for information and public consultation purposes only, with no decisions being made this evening. First, I'll ask if there's any disclosures of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest from any member of council tonight on either of these two items. Seeing none, tonight's first application concerns a proposed official plan amendment, community planning permit system bylaw amendment, and revised draft plan of subdivision revision applications for 1700 Webster Boulevard in the town of Innisfil. We'll start with a presentation from staff and the consultant regarding the application. Then we'll have an opportunity for public consultation where we will hear from members of the public. All speakers would ask you if you could please take 5 minutes to ask your questions or express your concerns or make your comments, and then staff will respond where possible. If staff are not able to answer your questions this evening, when a staff report comes back for consideration, at that point there will be answers to your questions in that staff report, and we will make sure that you're aware when that's going to happen. After your 5 minutes, and once everyone has had the opportunity, should you need to speak again to address an issue that's not been raised or to request clarification, you'll be given additional time. But that makes sure everyone gets the first 5 minutes and we get through the room, and then if you want to come back, you're more than welcome to at that point. Council will then have an opportunity to speak and ask questions or provide comments, and then council will consider a recommendation to receive all this information. Should any member of the public that are watching on live stream, if you're home watching on live stream, you may also comment. You can email clerk's services, and these comments will be provided to council and town staff and taken into consideration before council makes any final decision. You may also be added to the circulation list as an interested party and will be updated on any further information regarding this item. The email will be listed on the PowerPoint during the meeting and is also available on tonight's agenda, which can be found on the town's website. We'll now hear from our newly minted town clerk, Jennifer Marshall, on how public notice of this meeting was provided.
Thank you, Your Worship. Notice of this public meeting was provided to required agencies and circulated to all landowners within 120 meters of the subject lands on October 29th, 2025, in accordance with the Planning Act. Corresponding signage was posted on the property on October 30th, 2025. Information and materials respecting the application were also posted on the Town of Innisfil's Get Involved page.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Has any correspondence been received by Clerk's Services concerning this item?
One piece of correspondence has been received by the Clerk's Office regarding this application from Aldona Bayurek, dated November 18th, 2025, stating objections to the application.
Thank you. Members of the public may provide comments or register their interest regarding this item during this meeting or up to or until council makes a decision by contacting the clerk's office. We'll now hear from our presenters regarding this application. First, Kirsten Morris, who is the town's planning project manager, will provide a high-level summary of the application. And then Kristen Loft from Loft Planning Incorporated will provide further planning context on behalf of the applicant. Kirsten?
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, members of council, staff, and members of the public. This public meeting is to consider applications for an official plan amendment, a community planning permit system bylaw amendment, or CPPS bylaw, and a red line revision to a draft plan of subdivision at 1700 Webster Boulevard. So the purpose of the applications is to permit a red line revision to Phase 3 of the San Diego 2 draft approved plan of subdivision. The revisions are proposed in the south portion of the property and would include 153 residential lots consisting of 30 single detached dwelling units and 20 townhouse blocks with 123 townhouse units. A mixed-use block is also proposed in the southeast corner of the property, which would include a mixed-use building with 30 apartment units, ground floor commercial units, and a sales pavilion to be temporarily located within the building. An open space block is also proposed along the Metrolinx corridor, and a future development block is proposed in the north portion of the property. To facilitate this red line revision, the official plan amendment proposes to redesignate the south portion of the property from the residential low density 1 and residential low density 2 designations to the residential medium density neighborhood commercial area and parks and open space designations. The CPPS bylaw amendment proposes to rezone the south portion of the property from the residential low density 1 and residential low density 2 precincts to site-specific residential low density 2 exception, residential medium density exception, and neighborhood commercial exception precincts, and an open space precinct. No changes are proposed to the north portion of the property through these official plan amendment and CPPS bylaw amendment applications, and future planning applications would be required to develop that future development block in the north portion of the property, which would involve a future public process if amendments were required. The property is located within the settlement area of Alcona at the southwest corner of 7th Line and Webster Boulevard, and are approximately 21.67 hectares in area. The property has approximately 660 meters of frontage on Webster Boulevard and 531 meters of frontage on 7th Line, and are currently vacant. Surrounding land uses are mainly residential and include 7th Line and residential single detached lots to the north, Webster Boulevard, Lake Simcoe Elementary School, and residential single detached and townhouse lots, which are part of the San Diego 2 and Prevencourt 1 subdivision to the east, the Metrolinx rail corridor and vacant agricultural lands to the west, and residential single detached lots, which are part of the Sleeping Lion subdivision to the south. The applications will be reviewed by staff for consistency and conformity with applicable provincial, county, and town policies, which include the provincial planning statement, the Lake Simcoe Protection Plan, the Simcoe County Official Plan, the Innisfil Town Official Plan, and the town's Community Planning Permit System bylaw. And the policies that are applicable are listed in the staff report on tonight's agenda. So we've received agency comments so far. Alderville First Nation have requested to review the archaeological assessment. Bell Canada and Canada Post have provided their standard draft plan conditions. In-Services have provided technical water and sanitary servicing comments, requiring updates to the functional servicing report and servicing plans. Metrolinx have provided technical rail safety, stormwater management, noise and vibration, and agreement comments. The Simcoe County District School Board has no objection and have identified that safe pedestrian access to Lake Simcoe Public School should be provided. The Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority have indicated they have no objection, and they will provide further technical comments to be addressed through the draft plan process. County of Simcoe provided their waste collection standards InPower have requested more information be provided to confirm hydro requirements, and Town Development Engineering have provided technical servicing, stormwater management, geotechnical, traffic, hydrogeological, and noise comments. We did also receive one public comment through the Clerk's Department indicating concerns regarding the increase in density, compatibility with the existing neighborhood, and traffic impacts. Next steps, staff will review and consider all public, council, department, and agency comments and report back to council with a recommendation report at a future meeting. Notice will be provided to anyone who requests notice or submits written correspondence. If the official plan amendment is adopted by council and approved by the County of Simcoe, the CPPS bylaw amendment is approved, and the CPPS bylaw amendment is approved by council. Staff are delegated to approve the red line revision to the draft plan of subdivision along with consolidated draft plan conditions. And if anybody wishes to submit comments or questions, they can do so by contacting me by email or by phone or by visiting the town's Get Involved webpage. And I will now pass the presentation over to the applicant, Christine Loft, to continue on with more details about the applications.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, staff, and those in the public. My name is Christine Loft of Loft Planning, and I'm here representing San Diego Homes. With me tonight is Sandra Rosardo, Silvano Rosardo, Jessica Rosardo of San Diego Homes, Marvin Geist of Marvin Geist Professionals, and Susanna Nilsson of R.J. Burnside Engineering. So thank you for staff opening and describing the property. I'll just go briefly through a little more detail on the site. So the lands are legally described as Block 39, M Plan 51852. The subject lands are located in the southwest quadrant of the settlement area of Elkona. The lands are south of the 7th line, west of Webster Boulevard, and directly east of the Metrolinx corridor. The lands constitute Phase 3 of the San Diego 2 approved plan of subdivision. The subject lands have a lot area of 21.6 hectares with a frontage of 660 meters along Webster Boulevard and 530 meters along the 7th line. The development of Block 39 is being referred to and will be marketed as Keystone. To provide a bit of history on the San Diego Home approvals, the draft plan of subdivision and associated conditions of approval were originally approved by the County of Simcoe on May 5th, 2003. Phase 1 was registered in August 2006. Phases 2 and 2B were registered in 2015 and 2017 respectively, and Phase 3 was revised in 2018 and is the subject lands of tonight's meeting. We have obtained extensions since that time, and there has been one red line to consistently bring the development into the planning policies of the time. The lands are currently draft approved for 466 units, including a mix of singles, townhouse, and a mixed-use block at the north end, and you can see that on the plan on the screen. The red line revision is the first step in planning approvals that will bring this draft plan approval into greater conformity with the land uses, unit types, and unit densities that the official plan contemplates. This slide represents the red line revision. So the red line will create 153 residential units, including both singles and townhouse units. A mixed-use block is located in the southeast corner, and the remainder of the site will be identified as a future development block. The plan also continues to provide for the open space block along the westerly lot boundary and adjacent to the Metrolinx corridor. The density for the proposed red line is approximately 30 units per net hectare, focusing only on Phase 1 area, which has a lot area of 6.14 hectares. With regard to the residential unit breakdown, the plan includes 153 residential units, which include 30 single detached dwellings located along the southerly boundary, and they're identified in yellow on the screen. These lots will back onto existing singles within Sleeping Lion development. There are 20 townhouse blocks, creating 123 townhouse units, identified in orange on the screen, and a mixed-use block in the southeast corner, identified in red. This block is proposed to include a 3-story mixed-use building that will include 30 apartment units and ground floor commercial. The open space block proposed along the Metrolinx corridor has a width of approximately 28 meters. A future development block is proposed within the north portion of the subject lands, and the proposed red line would establish a net density of approximately 30 units per net hectare for both the singles, the towns, and the apartment units. With regard to the future development block, we have pre-consulted on development within this future development block. This block will include a greater range of unit types, including a variety of townhouse units, including back-to-backs and stacked towns, as well as mixed-use buildings. These will be developed in the future by way of additional planning applications and will include site plan approval and future condominium applications. In 2022, San Diego Homes retained Hunt Design to prepare a comprehensive concept plan for the entirety of the block and to establish a layout that is in greater conformity with the official plan policies. The proposed applications implement that overall concept plan, but in a phased approach. This is the Hunt Design Plan for the first phase. In light blue and along the southerly boundary are the 30 single detached units, which will have frontages of 9.75 meters. In orange are the 20 townhouse blocks with 123 townhouse units that will front onto Street C, which is a proposed municipal road with a 20-meter right-of-way. The townhouses have a proposed frontage of 6 meters. In the southeast corner is the mixed-use block, which will include a 3-story building with 30 apartment units that will be rental and ground floor neighborhood commercial uses. The submission does request an additional permission related to allowing San Diego Homes to house their sales office on the ground floor in order to sell out the units within this Keystone development. The proposed open space block along Metrolinx corridor is identified in green and is a continuation of the open space block provided for in Sleeping Lion. On the site, the open space block extends from 7th line all the way down to the southerly boundary that you're looking at on the screen. With regard to pedestrian connections and parkland, the site will include proposed sidewalks on both sides of Street C with widths of 1.5 meters. There is an existing sidewalk along Webster, which the proposed sidewalks will connect to. A proposed multi-use trail within the open space block and adjacent to the Metrolinx corridor will have a width of 3 meters. Street C also is directly opposite Quarry Drive, allowing the pedestrian sidewalks to connect from Quarry Drive west along Street C and provide a window and access into the multi-use trail along the open space block. With regard to parkland dedication, San Diego Homes is a member in good standing of the Alcona Developers Group and has been since the group's inception in 1989. And as part of the Alcona Developers Group, parkland dedication contributions were required. As part of the earlier phases of the San Diego Homes development, San Diego Homes over-dedicated parkland, or in other words, conveyed more land for parkland than was required at the time. The parkland calculation included Block 39, and as it was previously draft approved. As such, parkland dedication has been provided for with regard to the development block of Block 39 and specifically Phase 1. San Diego Homes conveyed 1.22 hectares to the town for parkland dedication as part of the Alcona Developers Group agreement, and we have confirmed that at the time, 1.089 hectares was required. We would note that discussions with staff will need to take place with regard to parkland for future phases as it relates to increased densities and updates to the Planning Act with regard to parkland dedication. As part of the overall concept for the site, an additional central public park has been identified in future phases, which would provide for additional parkland within this overall block at full build-out. In light of this over-dedication, parkland dedication for the approval of this red line revision for Phase 1 would be considered satisfied. The official plan amendment before you proposes to redesignate only the lands that are identified in yellow and are Phase 1 of the overall Keystone development. The remainder of the lands outside of the yellow area or of Phase 1 will remain the same. Phase 1 is proposed to be redesignated to residential medium density and neighborhood commercial. The open space block adjacent to the Metro links will remain in the parks and open space designation. The proposed development would conform to the residential medium density within the official plan, and this does allow for singles and townhomes. There are a couple of key policies which we do conform to, and that is that the singles are limited to a maximum of 25% of the total units, of which we meet that with 38 singles being permitted, and we have 30 singles proposed in this plan, and that the density within the medium density policies is met, providing for a range of 26 to 60, and we're at generally 30 units per net hectare. With regard to the CPPS application before you, this proposes new precincts within the area identified in yellow, so specifically a residential low density 2 with a site-specific exception, residential medium density with site-specific exception, and a neighborhood commercial precinct with a site-specific exception, and then the OS precinct, which represents the open space block. The residential low-density 2 precinct will implement the single detached lots along the southerly boundary and adjacent to the existing single detached residential within Sleeping Lion. The residential medium density will implement the townhouse units within the remainder of this phase, and the neighborhood commercial precinct will implement the 3-story mixed-use building. And just a little more detail on the precinct asks. So this slide identifies the early designs for the townhouse units and the basis of the CPPS ask. There are 3 exceptions that have been requested, and these include an increase in height from 11 meters to 13 meters, an increase in maximum lot coverage from 50% to 65%, and a decrease in minimum landscaped open space from 35 to 20%. In support of these requests, the additional height allows greater ceiling heights. Related to building height increase, the overall design needs to be considered. Increasing the height allows the design of attractive elevations with well-proportioned roof lines, which is otherwise not possible if the maximum height is restricted. This greater height will allow well-designed, appealing elevations that will be carried forward throughout the development. The additional height supports the truss designs, which will include a raised heel, which allows for greater insulation installation. The additional lot coverage allows for greater ground and second floor square footages rather than going to 3 stories. And the proposed townhouses will have GFAs of approximately 2,200 square feet. This lot coverage will allow greater variety of models that will fit on all lots, allowing flexibility and versatility in product. The decrease in open space is a function of the lot coverage, but we would note that the requests for variances are only to allow greater flexibility and versatility and would not be required on every lot. And this slide shows the early designs for the single detached units and the basis of the CPPS amendment request. There are 5 exceptions. There is the first one, which is that the permitted uses be limited to singles. So we would just note that this precinct does allow for towns and semis. So the exception does ensure that these lots will be singles, which do back onto the singles within Sleeping Lion. A decrease in the rear yard setback from 7.5 to 6.5 is requested, an increase in height from 9 meters to 11 meters, an increase in maximum lot coverage from 45 to 60%, and a decrease in minimum landscape open space from 30 to 25%. In support of these requests, the decrease of the rear yard setback is only for approximately 25% of the lots, as the majority of these lots are deep lots and are on the southern boundary. This exception will allow flexibility on the products available within these shallower lots. The increase in height, similar to the townhouses, the overall design needs to be considered, and so increasing the height allows the design of attractive elevations with well-proportioned roof lines. It also provides for the truss design to include additional insulation installation. The increase in lot coverage allows flexibility and versatility of products, and the decrease in open space is a function of that lot coverage. And just noting that, again, this is only for flexibility and that these decreases or increases are not necessarily required for every lot. And this is the site plan for the mixed-use proposal and is the basis of the CPPS amendment. Hunt Design has prepared this conceptual plan for the mixed-use block, which is located in the southeast corner of Phase 1 and does front onto Webster Boulevard. The block has a lot area of 0.46 hectares and a building area of 1,083 square meters. The site includes parking, 22 spaces for the commercial and 45 spaces for the residential. As noted earlier, the proposal would allow San Diego Homes to move their sales center for the Keystone development into this mixed-use building. And in the future, then, this space would be utilized for neighborhood commercial uses. There are 5 exceptions requested for this block, an additional permitted use of the sales office, as that currently would not be a permitted use, an increase in height from 9 meters to 24 meters, and that would allow the 3 stories, a decrease in minimum landscaped open space from 30 to 20%, and this block also would require 3-meter landscape strips along the west and the southerly boundaries, and we've requested that to be reduced to 1 meter, and that would then include a wood-board fence line as well as 1 meter of landscaping. This block does include 30 apartment units that will be rental units. These units would be accessible with ground floor access and elevator access to the 2nd and 3rd stories. And second last slide. So this slide identifies the technical reports that were submitted as part of the complete submission and are currently under review by the town. And as I conclude, I did want to provide an overview of the sustainable features, both with respect to the site as well as construction. So San Diego Homes has been a certified and Energy Star builder for 10 plus years. San Diego Homes is experienced in geothermal construction and net zero homes. They are currently investigating geothermal construction for the mixed-use block in the southeast corner. With regard to the site and to construction, there will be sustainable material sourcing. There will be pedestrian connectivity and walkability, which is considered with respect to the sidewalks as well as the trail connectivity. Implementing construction waste management, low-impact development strategies with regard to stormwater management, and with regard to the actual building design of the homes, this would include Energy Star certified appliances, Energy Star exhaust fans, LED lighting, low maintenance and durable building materials, upgraded roof shingles, low emission paints and carpets, and the use of recycled materials where practical. And this concludes our presentation. And on behalf of San Diego Homes, thank you for your time this evening. And we do look forward to hearing comments and to working with staff as we move this project forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsten and Christine. We'll now hear from members of the public who have questions regarding this matter. I understand that no one has registered to speak virtually, so we will call on those in attendance here at Town Hall who wish to provide comments to please come forward to the podium and state your name for the record. As a reminder, 5 minutes for the first round, so please, I know it's hard to go first, but anybody interested in making comment or questions, please come forward and state your name at the podium. Yeah, please come forward. Whenever you're ready, just please state your name.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and planning staff. Thank you for giving me the chance to speak. My family and I live directly behind this project. I want to share our concerns about the mixed-use building and the high-density townhouses that are planned right behind our backyard. When we bought our home, we were told that the land behind us would be single detached homes or possibly a park. This felt reasonable and similar to our neighborhood. Now the plans have changed to dense townhouses and a 3-story mixed-use building. This is a very big change, and it is very worrying for us. Our first concern is traffic and safety. The high numbers of townhouses and mixed-use building will bring many more cars in our small area. We already have heavy traffic because of the nearby elementary school. Adding this level of density plus a commercial building will make the road more congested and less safe for the children. From living here every day, we can say that the road was not studied properly, and the real problems was not shown in the report. Our second concern is privacy. A 3-story building will look directly into our backyard and our windows. There is no step down, no buffer, and no transition. It does not match the single homes that are already here. Another concern is the parking lot planned behind our fence. We worry about the car lights, noise, deliveries, people coming late in the evening. This would take away the peace and the quiet we have in our home. We feel that the builder is focusing too much on profit and not enough on the quality of life and the families who already live here. Replacing the single homes with as many townhomes and a mixed-use building possibly may help the builder financially, but it does not help our neighborhood. For this reason, we kindly ask the council to reject this part of the proposal or to make big changes. Return the single detached homes behind our property. Reduce the building heights. Remove the commercial use and keep the parking away from our existing homes. Thank you very much for listening and for considering how this project will affect the people who already live here. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I please have your name for the record?
My name is Aldona Bajorek.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you. Anyone else, please come forward. Oh. I appreciate that you want to give support, but please, there's no signs of either booing or clapping or anything like that. If you want to come forward and just say that you agree with that position, that is allowed. But procedurally in this house, we don't allow any shows of booing or clapping. Thank you. Sir, please come forward.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Tony Fazzari, and I live at 1525 Broderick Street, and the property backs onto the subject development. I'm actually pretty close to where this commercial three-story building is going, and just to back up, we bought in fall of 2019 from the developers, Fernbrook, Prestine, and Zancor, and it was sold at the time, and I do have some plans that behind us, and Broderick Street was primarily 50-foot lots backing on to San Diego homes, and we were under the assumption that the development would eventually grow there and that those lots would be 50-foot lots going forward up to 7th line. However, we understand in today's economy, everybody's trying to do more density. The developers are trying to get as much as they can. With respect specifically for this three-story commercial, rental, second and third floor, I think it's a disaster to happen here. There is no reason in the world that there should be this commercial development on Webster Boulevard right across from a school, and it is very, very busy, as the lady before has said, but this building, it's approximately 11,600 square feet. I'm going by square footage, the meter is just conversion. And usually the distance, the space of these buildings are about 60 feet deep. So you can put about 10 commercial units in there for rental. QSRs is usually who are preferred to go in there. There may be some consultants or dentists and what have you. But most of these businesses are all designated along Innisfil Beach Side Road. You've got a lot of land to develop along there. There's a lot of commercial space that can be developed. This is just putting something like in the middle of a residential density. I'm not so concerned about the townhouses. I'm sure that the developer will design them accordingly. They're usually a lot higher, which we've been told. But to put a 24-meter building, it's about 78 feet in height, is like totally unacceptable. I'm not in favor of it. I really would like the council to consider that and to make that residential like it was originally planned. Our plans, and I have a few plans from Fernbrook, who I bought from, show future residential development. I understand that they have 85 single homes that have been approved. I would like to know the size of the frontages of those 85 homes that were approved. I suspect they were going behind my property along Broderick on both sides. So that's really my biggest concern right now, is this mixed-use commercial. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Next, anyone else who'd like to please come forward? And state your name for the record. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Susan Dixon. I live at 1185 Quarry Drive. So I'm a block from where the development is about to happen or is proposed to happen. I'm here with a number of my neighbors who are concerned mostly about the mixed-use building. Understanding, I'm a realtor as well, I understand that there needs to be a lot more development, higher density. Understand that there's definitely need for more townhomes, stacked townhomes as they're speaking, and I think all of those things are good for our community and good for people that are trying to get into the market. So all of those things I agree with. The mixed-use building is where my concern is, strictly because of the traffic in that area, and if we're talking about a parking lot of 45 cars plus all of the extra townhomes that will be in that area, you're talking about a whole lot more traffic and a whole lot more cars. And when we're talking about children coming and going from that school specifically, I don't see how that will work. I do know that San Diego is wonderful at building great concepts, within their model homes for future development. And I know that they're looking at it partially as a sales center, but I think if they were to switch that mixed-use building to some beautiful townhomes that they can sell off of, they'll be able to eventually sell those within that phase as well, instead of turning it into a mixed-use building. Also concerns for public safety when it comes to possible rentals coming into the area where we don't have any buildings like that currently. It just doesn't go kind of with the area. Now, if we were to switch and have the commercial buildings closer to 7th Line, where that corner, I believe, is already delegated for commercial use, 7th Line is a much more appropriate, 7th and Webster, those four corners are much more appropriate, I believe, because it would be great to have some commercial in the area, but just maybe not at that spot. That's just not the right place, in my opinion.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dixon. Anyone else would like to speak on this application, please? Please come forward.
Good evening. My name is Paul Traikos, T as in Tom, R-A-I-K-O-S. My property also backs onto off of Broderick, so this development will be in my backyard as well. And when we bought, we were told that there would be a tree line there, and then the houses on that side would be 60-foot lots. So I'm not opposed to the townhouses, I'm opposed to where they're scheduled for now, right? If there are single dwellings there, I'd be more lenient to that. I'm also against this building as well. As the previous speakers have said, I think it's going to bring a lot of traffic to the area, especially in front of a school. I'm also not opposed to the idea of bringing it closer to the 7th Line as well. In my backyard, though, we were presuming that there would be at least 50 to 60-foot lots and not all that congestion right behind our properties, right? Because then it doesn't look the same as the rest of the developments in the area, right? So much like everybody else has been saying, I think we're all on the same page with what we would like to see. So we're asking you guys to think about that in that regard, right? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else who'd like to speak to this proposal, this application? I'll ask one more time, please come forward.
Hi, my name's Vicki Palmer, and I have great concerns. I live 3 houses down from Webster, and the congestion around that area with the school is enormous. There's cars parked on either side of Webster and coming around the corner to Quarry Drive. Yeah, so I don't agree with I agree with the lady that spoke first. I think that the commercial should not be across the road from Quarry Drive. If they're going to have commercial, I think it should be, like the other fella said, around the 7th Line. Yeah, and why can't they build the townhouses where it would be more appropriate along the, like, backing onto the railroad, maybe in that section there, and then have the single-family dwellings, which we, like, I'm a second-time owner, but most people that live in that area were told they were told that they were going to be developed into single-family dwellings. And that makes quite a difference in the overall view of the neighborhood. You know, we have nice homes on Quarry Drive and Rizzardo and the other streets around there. And to have this immense change in the density is, I don't think it's fair to the existing homeowners. And it's just not fair. It's going to change the whole view of the area. So I would highly recommend that you consider all these things, the safety of the children, the amount of traffic there already, morning and at 3 o'clock or 3:30. The roads are just filled with cars, and this is just going to add a lot of congestion, having more high density and more traffic on those streets. And I definitely don't agree with the commercial. I think it should be up where it doesn't matter as much, because on the one side of Webster, there's that, I don't know what it is, it's an industrial thing on that corner, and if they had the plaza on the other side, it would be a better idea. Anyhow, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Palmer. Is there other comments or questions? Please come forward.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Sharon Gooch, and I live 4 doors down on Quarry Drive from Webster. My neighbors are here tonight, and I'm second owner, my husband and I. We love the builder, love the homes, very happy with them, not happy with the commercial space and the 3 floors. I vouch for Vicki, all my neighbors were very concerned. The homes, the people dropping their kids off park on our street right up to our home. And it's, and I'm not going to talk a long time, but I just, please, we're concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gooch. Anyone else who would like to come forward and speak on this item? I'll ask one more time. Is there anyone who wanted to speak on this item? Oh, please come forward. If there's anyone else, please come forward and sit in the front and be ready, and you can go next. Sir,
Good evening,
welcome.
Mayor, Councilor, public. My name is Frank DeFrancesco. I live on Rizzardo Crescent. These apartment buildings, who's the owner of the apartment buildings? Is it a builder, or is it going to be sold to an investor? Number one. And number two, what type of businesses are allowed to operate in these commercial units? And that's my concern. I think it's a bad idea with the 3-story, but time will tell. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kirsten, can you answer tonight what type of businesses would be allowed in the commercial? Or did you want to address that in a staff report coming forward?
Thank you, Mary Dolan. Through you, it would be the commercial uses that are permitted in the mixed-use precinct. I don't have that off the top of my head, but I can come back in the report and clarify what uses would be permitted.
Thank you so much. And if possible, also the ownership of the building. Thank you. Anyone else? Comments? Questions? Seeing none, I'll now ask the clerk if there's been any emails that have been received during the meeting.
Thank you, Your Worship. No emails have been received during the meeting.
Thank you. I'll now go to members of council for questions. Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you very much for the presentation. I'll start off with a compliment. I like the fact that you're using Energy Star design. Not exactly what I want to see. I'd like to see passive, but I know it's going to take you time to get there. I do appreciate the raised heel truss because I understand what that means. It just means more insulation, proper insulation in the attic. So I appreciate those design changes. I'd like to see up your game to something a little better than Energy Star, but I realize where we're at in terms of the economy. So that's my compliments. I have a couple of concerns. One is, first of all, I'd like the developer to explain to the members of the public why we've gone from single detached to townhouse development. That's just for them. I understand why you're doing it, but if you could explain to the people in the audience why such a dramatic change to a development they all thought was going to be single detached houses to now one that's townhouse.
Thank you, through the chair to Councillor Waters. So, first of all, I will confirm that they do have 9.75 meter lot frontages, so they are certainly less than likely what they were looking at when they bought. The original draft approval would have been for 50-foot lots along that southern boundary. So there is a change in lot frontage, but the red line does provide for singles along that southerly boundary, and in fact, in discussions with staff, we did add the exception to the precinct in to ensure that they are singles, because the precinct that we're going to, even though it's a residential low density, does allow for semis and towns. So there is an exception to ensure that those will remain as singles. So I did hear that a couple of times. So I just would like to confirm that they will remain singles. And the sections north of those singles, those were singles and are now towns. So they achieve greater densities, lower price points in the market, and it's definitely what the market is demanding. And our policy structure, right from provincial policy down, is requiring us to reach greater densities. In order to do that, we have to be looking at other unit types and unit densities, because simply single detached, even at 9.75 frontages, still do not get us to reach the densities that we need. And in fact, I will say that this phase one is likely really a lower density than ultimately what staff would probably be looking for, but we're going to go with this lower density in phase one and look to increase densities more as we head north and closer to the 7th line. So I just want to confirm that we are still providing, a lower density development, but trying to go with units that are going to sell well on the market.
Thank you. Follow-up? Thank you very much. I just wanted that explanation for the public to hear why that has changed, because we're going from 214 singles down to 30 singles, so quite a dramatic change in terms of the development. My second comment has to do with lot coverage. So usually, when you go to higher densities, you want to be able to provide more green space, more trees, just to give people a feeling that they're not packed in somewhere like sardines. It gives a more open space feeling. However, your lot coverage is going from 35% down to 20%, which means a lot less greenery. And so I'm a bit concerned that because of that, it's going to feel more like sardines as opposed to what people would feel more comfortable with in a higher density development. I think people are okay with higher density. It's just, I think that greenery needs to be there, and the lot coverage from 35% down to 20%, I understand why you're doing it, but it's quite dramatic.
Can I respond to that? Through the mayor to Councillor Waters. So I do think that we will provide staff a little more information on that, because the requirements that we're asking for is really to provide flexibility on the products that are available on the most number of lots within the development. The builder's only going to have so many models, and so you want those models to be available on the greatest number of lots. And so, just in talking to Silvano the other day, preparing for tonight's meeting, and we sort of realized that, for example, on the singles, all of those middle singles are all very deep lots, and we are likely going to be able to meet lot coverage and the rear yard setbacks on those for almost all of the models. So I think I've sort of charged myself with providing staff a little more information on really what the percentages of the number of units that would actually utilize those reductions, because I think that sort of goes to the point of there will be open space because these exceptions are not going to be on every property.
Thank you. One final question. Just to reiterate what the public has been saying around the commercial space and the mixed use, just to ask whether or not there's an opportunity to maybe move it from that corner so it's not on the backyards of the existing community, if it's possible to move it north slightly so that it might be mixed with the townhouses as opposed to, I think the best location would be at the 7th, but if it could be moved north away from the existing community, I think that would resolve some of the issues. I think almost everyone mentioned that. It might ask you to reconsider that location would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Richardson.
Thank you. Along the same lines as Councillor Waters with that mixed use, I do like it. I don't like it so close to a school. And so I just wonder why it's not closer to 7th line. Like, what was the thought process, or reasoning behind not having it closer to that 7th line?
Thank you, through the mayor, to Councillor Richardson. So we have been really focused on phase 1, and we do know that certainly the remainder of the future development block is going to be townhouses, a variety of townhouses within a condominium structure. And so we were focusing on some type of apartment units, rental units, and so we sort of aim to provide that rental use option within this phase 1.
Other questions or comments? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Worship. Okay, I'm seeing a lot about the houses themselves. We're more concerned about the green space. On the south side of Broderick, is there going to be any paths, green barriers, trees, brush? What is in mind for that specific area?
Through the mayor to the deputy mayor, I guess, can you describe the area that you're talking, or do you mean in between the rear yards? So, I mean, those rear yards back onto each other, they will be entirely private space, both within the existing neighbors to the south and then the new singles along Street C. So any landscaping would need to be provided as part of this subdivision approval. We haven't necessarily contemplated what that might look like, but I can certainly speak to staff on whether there would be any tree requirements along that stretch of lots.
Anyone else? Questions or comments? Councillor Waters.
One last question, and it's a compliment, but a question on that piece. There was discussion around the use of geothermal, so making the community maybe all electric as opposed to natural gas. So I encourage you to look at that, and there has been discussion around using geothermal horizontal loops in the roadway itself along sewer lines to recover heat from. So I would encourage you to continue looking at that opportunity, and for the town planning staff to encourage that as well. But understand there might be some complications with that design, but I just wanted to encourage you to pursue that and maybe go with a no gas community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Councillor Drodge.
Thanks, Your Worship. Just more of a comment. I think we should be looking at this as a whole parcel and not just phase 1, meaning, I understand you want to do mixed-use buildings in your project. Maybe phase 1 might not be the proper time to implement that. You keep saying you have 30 single detached houses backing onto single detached, but that mixed-use building definitely does back on to at least 2, and not necessarily behind them, but side yards coming into about 10 units. It looks like it backs on from Broderick and Webster. So I could visualize that as being pretty obtrusive to those residents. So maybe if we look at this project as a whole, because I like the idea of your mixed use, I just think you're bringing it in at the wrong phase. Well, that's just my comments. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? I just had one question about the open space block that is adjacent to the Metrolinx land. Is that block being considered part of parkland? Is that considered as parkland dedication or any part of it?
I don't believe it is. It will be conveyed to the town, though.
Conveyed to the town?
Yes.
And is the, you said it was contiguous with the sleeping line to the south. Has that been conveyed to the town in that subdivision? Maybe I'm asking the wrong person, sorry. Kirsten or Stephen, do you know the answer to that? The land just adjacent to the rail line, is that in the town's possession?
To you, your worship, that's correct. Within the sleeping line subdivision, there's been a conveyance of that land, and it's not part of the parkland dedication.
Thank you. Thank you. Seeing no other hands, we'll now go to the recommendation to receive the comments provided this evening. Could I please have a mover and a seconder? So again, all we're doing is receiving the information, all of the comments. That's moved by Councillor Constantine and seconded by Deputy Mayor Fowler. All those in favor? That is carried. Now, anyone who wishes to provide comment regarding these applications, you can still do it. If you're not a big fan of standing up in front of the mic and you want to make sure that our comments, that your comments are read, you can also provide written comments to us after this evening. And you may also register as an interested party to be notified when this is going to be considered by council. So you can do that by contacting the clerk's office. That's clerksoffice@innisfil.ca. So I would suggest anyone who's interested in knowing when this is going to be come back for a vote in front of council, that you please register as an interested party. And thank you for everyone who participated. Now we're going to basically do the same thing for another public meeting. So tonight's second item concerns proposed official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment applications for 1460 Killarney Beach Road in the town of Innisfil. We'll start with a presentation from staff and the consultants regarding the application. Then we will have an opportunity for public consultation where we'll hear from members of the public. Again, all speakers will ask if you could keep your comments to 5 minutes or less, and thank you everyone for being so respectful in doing so. And then staff will respond where possible. If they're not able to respond to your questions tonight, you will have an opportunity to read about the answers to your questions when the staff report comes forward. Should anyone need to speak again to address an issue after everyone's had a turn the first time, then you can get up and speak again after everyone's had the initial 5-minute opportunity. After all members of the public have provided comment, council will have the opportunity to ask any questions or provide comments, and then council will consider the recommendation just to receive. Should any member of the public watching on the live stream wish to comment, they can email clerk services, and these comments will be provided to council and to town staff and taken into consideration before council makes a final decision. You may also be added to the circulation list as an interested party and will be updated on any future information regarding the item. The email will be listed on the PowerPoint during the meeting and is also available on tonight's agenda, which can be found on the town's website. And I'll now go to the town clerk, Jennifer Marshall, on how the public notice was provided.
Thank you, Your Worship. Notice of this public meeting was provided to required agencies on October 29th, 2025, and the notice was circulated to all landowners within 120 meters of the subject lands on October 29th, 2025, in accordance with the Planning Act. Corresponding signage was posted on the property on October 28th, 2025, and information and materials respecting the application were also posted on the Town of Innisfil's Get Involved page.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Has any correspondence been received by Clerk's office concerning this item?
Your Your worship, no correspondence has been received by the clerk's office regarding this application.
We'll now hear from our presenters regarding this application. First, Tumaj Hajsenshis. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. He's a development planner here at the town of Innisfil. Will provide a high-level summary of the application. Then Keith McKinnon and Jacqueline Cook of KLM Planning will provide further planning context on behalf of the applicant. Tumaj.
Correct. Tumash, correct. Thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Deputy Mayor, members of council, staff, and members of the public. The purpose of this public meeting is to consider a proposed official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment for lands municipally known as 1460 Killarney Beach Road. So the purpose of the applications is to facilitate a residential development consisting of 102 townhouse units. This development will contain 16 blocks for townhouses, 1 block for a common element area, and 1 block for a natural environment area. The proposed development will be accessed by a private road with entrances off the 20th Side Road and Killarney Beach Road, and will include 26 visitor parking spaces. The official plan amendment proposes to redesignate the subject lands from neighborhood commercial to residential medium density and key natural heritage features and key hydrological features, as well as to remove an area-specific policy which states that no more than 25% of the units shall be townhouses. The purpose of the zoning bylaw amendment is to rezone the subject lands from commercial neighborhood zone to a residential townhouse zone and environmental protection zone. The proposed residential townhouse zone will include an exception in order to establish site-specific provisions for minimum landscape open space, minimum lot area, minimum lot frontage, minimum front yard, minimum exterior side yard, minimum rear yard, maximum lot coverage, and minimum setback for garages. So the subject lands are located in the northeast corner of Killarney Beach Road and 20th Side Road within the Lefroy-Belle-Ewart urban settlement area. The subject lands are directly adjacent to the settlement boundary and thus act as a gateway to Lefroy. Subject lands are approximately 3 hectares in area with approximately 117 meters of frontage along 20th Side Road and approximately 207 meters of frontage along Killarney Beach Road. The lands are currently used as a sales office located in the southwest portion of the property. Most of the property is currently vacant. The sales office will be removed as part of the application. There is an unevaluated wetland encroaching onto the northwest portion of the property, and the northern and eastern areas of the site fall within lands regulated by the Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority. As mentioned, the proposal will consist of 102 townhouse units and include 16 townhouse blocks, 1 block for the common element area, and 1 block for a natural environment area contouring the northern and eastern boundaries, as you can see on the concept plan. The application will be reviewed by staff for consistency and conformity with provincial, county, and town policies. So staff have highlighted the applicable planning policies that will be reviewed in detail in a future technical recommendation report to council. At a high level, the applicable policy documents that will be considered include the provincial planning statement, the Lake Simcoe Protection Plan, the County of Simcoe official plan, the Town of Innisfil official plan, and the Town of Innisfil zoning bylaw. So in terms of agency comments received, we have the following as of today. So Rogers and Canada Post provided their standard conditions. The Lake Simcoe Conservation Authority provided some technical engineering and hydrogeological comments. A cut fill analysis for the existing floodplain has been accepted in principle. In-Services provided some technical comments requesting updates to the functional servicing and storm water management report. They also mentioned that a servicing easement will be required for municipal sanitary sewer. InPower noted that currently there is no capacity to supply power to the proposed development. The applicants will be required to join a developer group for cost sharing and upgrades to the existing transformer. The County of Simcoe Planning Department didn't have any concerns, but did request a waste collection strategy. The Simcoe-Muskoka Catholic District School Board provided standard comments and conditions. Alderville First Nation requested to remain updated. Should any archaeological findings be found, they wish to be contacted. Wendake First Nation was concerned about discovery of ancestors and recommended that construction monitoring should be conducted by a licensed archaeologist during excavation work. So in terms of next steps, staff will review and consider all comments received and report back to council with a recommendation at a future meeting. Notice will be provided to all who requested notification or submitted written correspondence. This includes all correspondence received on the town's Get Involved page. If the official plan amendment is adopted by council and approved by the County of Simcoe, and the zoning bylaw amendment is approved by council, staff are delegated to approve the exemption from draft plan of condominium. So that's the end of the staff portion of the presentation. My contact information is on the screen should anybody wish to provide any comments. There's also a barcode for our Get Involved page. You can also comment there.
Thank you, Toumaj. Now I'll hand it over to Keith.
Good evening, Your Worship, Deputy Mayor, members of council, staff, members of the public. My name is Keith McKinnon. I'm with KLM Planning Partners, Inc., here on behalf of Ballymore Building, Innisfil Corp., on behalf of 1460 Killarney Beach Road. I'm certainly not going to repeat everything that Toumaj has already gone through. I'm just going to give you a high-level additional information and then turn it over to you, Your Worship, so we can hear from members of the public on comments and concerns that they may have with our application. So as you see on the slide here in front of you, what we've done here is just provide a bit of additional surrounding context. Obviously outlined in yellow is the subject lands at the northeast corner of 20th Side Road, Killarney Beach Road. You see two concentric circles, inner one being 400 meters and the other one being 800 meters, representing two different levels of walking distances from the subject site moving east, west, north, and south. Primarily, if you move east into the Lefroy community, you'll see there's a number of different items and logos, some identifying existing and future parks in that location, some identifying existing commercial areas or community uses that are in existence there today. A lot of what you see in the highlighted pink or orange, depending on what color you see there, along both north and south side of Killarney Beach Road, identifies a large part of what is currently designated in your official plan as the downtown commercial area, which that designation seeks to provide local servicing commercial uses, which would be your convenience stores, restaurants, et cetera. Your official plan also seeks to have higher densities with mixed uses in that location, but the local serving commercial uses is the primary component of that policy. And today, those uses are in existence. The subject lands in yellow are the ones identified as neighborhood commercial, as Toumaj mentioned, in your official plan and zoned appropriately as well. That designation seeks to have greater commercial uses, whether that be grocery stores, the like, and the work that we have done as part of a complete application includes retail service need that was prepared by the Altus Group, which identified that those types of uses are concentrated along Innisfil Beach Road in Alcona. You see today you've got Sobeys, you've got No Frills, you've got a number of different restaurants, you've got additional commercial uses coming in. I have an application that'll be coming forth along Innisfil Beach Road in the not too distant future for additional commercial uses. So that's where your focus of commercial uses of that size is in downtown Alcona. And they've identified that these lands are not suitable for that type of use because its local serving is already being addressed and meeting the needs of the local community with what's there today. So based on that, we've provided a conceptual site plan. So you'll see 3 different colors. So starting from the top and working my way south. In the greenish color, that's the environmental protected area. So nothing will be done with those lands. So currently today, you have a large swath of environmental land that's between this parcel of land and Simpkin Court to the north. So this just adds to additional environmental lands that will be added to that area today. You do see an orange or a red color. That's a standard townhouse product. And then as you move south and on the west end edge, you see there's another townhouse product. And basically what that just identifies in the orange, it is a townhouse product and they are 4.5 meters, so they are all the same width. But that style along 20th Side Road and Killarney Beach Road will have their front doors facing Killarney Beach Road and 20th Side Road and their garages internal. Whereas in the red, those are your standard townhouse where you have your front door and your garage facing the internal street. This design is based on common element condominium tenure. So that means the units themselves will be freehold, the streets will be condominium. So street plowing will not be a requirement of the municipality to take care of. That will be done through a condominium corporation. And the intent is that we would design these streets so that they will meet the requirements of the County of Simcoe garbage pickup and recycling pickup so that that still will be able to be provided. So therefore, that won't be an additional item for the future residents to do condominium corporation. This is just a graphic to show you sort of the permeability through this site that we've designed. Of course, we have not filed a site plan application. Our official plan amendment, zoning bylaw amendment is the first step in this process. But what we've done here is just to give you a graphic to show we've got a connection to obviously 20th Side Road, connection to Killarney Beach Road. We've got internal permeability, both from a walkability standpoint and a future connections to both those major arterial roads. As noted, there's a number of different studies that were required as part of a complete application. There's a long list here, as you can see, but on the right-hand column, second last bullet point is the retail service needs prepared by the Altus Group, which has been provided, which, as I note, has been outlined and identified to form part of our submission that identifies these lands are certainly not suitable for the commercial uses of which they were originally identified for through that work. So with that, Your Worship, happy to answer any questions or comments council and the public may have.
Thank you, Mr. McKinnon. We'll now hear from members of the public who have questions regarding this matter. I understand that no one has registered to speak virtually, so I'll call on those in attendance here at Town Hall who wish to provide comment to come forward to the podium and state their name for the record. As a reminder, if you can keep your first comments to 5 minutes, that would be very much appreciated. Anyone with questions or comments, please come forward. Thank you. And please state your name for the record. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Shannon Casper. Thank you, Your Honor. I live at 1414 Killarney Beach Road, which is just 4 driveways down from the proposed plans. Everybody on my street's kind of sick right now, so I'm here by myself. We were hopeful for the businesses that might be brought to the area with the first commercial plans, and we were hopeful that they might be small businesses included. And we just sort of feel like we're constantly fighting against the increased density plans in our area. We just sort of did all this from across the way as well, where we were promised to have detached homes, and then it increased to more attached homes and then some, which I believe was passed recently. Our main concerns for this area are the increased traffic, the increased light pollution, the schools. So as Killarney Beach School is just built for the population of our area, and now we're gonna have to add more portables, et cetera, which takes away more of our green land in the area. We understand that growth is necessary. However, are so many townhomes required for this growth? Townhomes are a great option for smaller families that are coming in, as well as people who are downsizing, but Current statistics, including Stats Canada, does show that a large population buying these homes are actually for-profit businesses as well as individual investors, and that a lot of these properties will actually be bought up and then rented out. So it does sort of feel a lot of the time like we're constantly at a battle for corporate profit. Wow, I can't talk tonight, sorry. Corporate profit at a cost of our current residential quality of life in the area. And then my overall question is kind of like, if we keep building this town on more townhomes and more townhomes and more townhomes, where do people go when they grow out of those townhomes? There's only so many rooms in the townhomes. Smaller families don't want to raise a bunch of children that are multi-level. There's lots of stairs. The elderly can't move into them because there's lots of stairs. It doesn't leave for the growth of disabled individuals in our area. There's a lot of people that cannot access these homes. So I guess I just wonder, like, do we deserve more than just the bare minimum at this point? And when people grow out of these homes, where do they go? Do they not stay in our area? And don't we want to keep these lovely families in our area? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Casper. Anyone else, questions or comments, would like to speak to this item? Please come forward.
I'm Joseph Coda. My concerns are just for the town overall. Like, yeah, I agree with her. Like, we don't need any more townhouses. Commercial units would be ideal, or something like how Bradford did on Dissette. Like, they have commercial units at the bottom, townhouses above. Our town currently has no sidewalks. Our sidewalks were taken away about 2 years ago, put in power poles. I live on Gilmore Avenue. We were promised town water. We're on well water right now, and it's constantly affected by this. So I'm just wondering, like, when is the rest of the town gonna have something done with it, and when is the bottom half gonna not be ignored when we're like focusing only on the top part of it, you know, like next to the 20th Side Road, all this stuff is happening. We have townhouses like at the top of the road already, that little development of, I don't even know what the name of it is. We have the one going where the elementary school was just put in. So I'm just wondering, like, what's happening below, like closer to where I live? Those are my concerns, because our water has been contaminated a few times now, and I'm believing it's from all the development going around. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'm not sure if it's far away from this particular. It's pretty close. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Other questions or comments? Please come forward.
Hey there. My name's Cole Monday. Also live in Lefroy, Gilmore. I agree with what had been said. We're a bit of a forgotten town. Since we've purchased in 6 years ago, there's been subdivisions built. Our roads have been closed 3 times, opened, closed for fixes. We've actually lost size of our road. I've literally measured it with a tape measure, because I see boats that go down. You know, we have marinas down there, a lot of people with expensive boats taking their boats that I see them driving almost into the shoulder now. There's things that are forgotten, and there's things that I don't want to see forgotten, because when we did move there, we bought in the dark, but when daylight came, it was a beautiful town, and it's completely forgotten. We lost snow removal to the sidewalks that we don't have. I walked my dog on the road all winter last year. People stopped shoveling their driveway because of it. We had no sidewalk and access. I saw kids walking on the road to school. It's a township, part of Innisfil. Let's take a little bit more care of what we don't see, because we're on the line. We need to take care of infrastructure before introducing so many homes. Take care of the roadways, the sewer systems, things like that. Safety for our children, things that matter before we make a profit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm thinking that if you want to leave your email address, we can hook you up to a link that talks about the urbanization of Killarney Beach Road and where you are in that process and what phase you're in and what the end product will look like. So I don't want to get into a back and forth with you here. I want to support you to get the information you're looking for. At the same time, you know, the comments that you're making are valid, but not part of this particular application. But I definitely want to get you the information you're looking for and make sure that you understand where we are in the plan for Clarendon Beach Road. I understand what you're saying, and we'll get you some more information, and we'll have an offline conversation, because the conversation we're having now has nothing to do with this application. I understand you're saying you've had enough. You know, you want that finished before, but the planning process, the Planning Act requires when an application comes to town, we hear that application, we have a statutory public meeting, and that's what we're doing. But I'm happy to have a conversation with you offline about all of the work going on there. Thank you. Other questions or comments about the application?
Good evening. Thank you. My name's Heather Jones. I live in Lefroy. I'm actually a lifelong resident of Lefroy, and I can vouch with him. I'm working on the same side, walking on the same sidewalks I walked on when I was 5 years old. I understand development has to happen, change is in the forecast. My concern is, where are all these people going to go? Where's the traffic? Where are the kids going to go? I see the kids now wandering around with nothing to do. We don't have transportation to take the kids from Lefroy over to Elkona to the YMCA. Yes, we have the Uber, but it's not a very reliable system. So my concern is, we need to get infrastructure, and we need to get something in place before we start building more houses and bringing more people to our little town. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Anyone else, questions or comments on this? Thank you.
Good evening. George Munshaw, 1399 Clarny Beach Road. I'm a lifer in Lefroy, you all know it. We keep on having these meetings for the same things: minimum density, maximum density about everything. When this subdivision was put in, the corner was going to be a commercial zone. Everybody thought maybe we'd get a supermarket, you know, some businesses in Lefroy. Keep on hearing the commercial zone is in Lefroy. I am the commercial zone in Lefroy. It ain't coming. They're all too small. I had a customer of mine approach me in the spring looking for a 5-acre parcel to put a store in Lefroy. Contacted the different builders. No, we're going on both sides of Clarny Beach. We are going residential. There will be no commercial on these. So the writing's on the wall for the other side already. We already know the developments that are happening on Clarny Beach Road that are bringing traffic to a 2-lane road that you're urbanizing now. And it's going to only satisfy the people in Lefroy now. Talking 120 units? Okay, they're going to be bought by developers, 2 families per unit, 240 families putting kids to the school, not your 120. Same thing on the other side. You can sit there and say no, but you know it's yes, because we see it every day. So I think you really have to take a look and take a stand for Lefroy on this piece of property that is the gateway to our town. That's what everybody sees. Every cottager that comes into Lefroy and Belleurt say the same thing. We got no shopping here. I remember shopping in Lefroy at Gilmore's store. You know, we have none of that now. We're all going over to the 8th line to fight with everybody else for a bit of service. So I think it's up to the time is for the town to finally stand up for Lefroy and give us some representation. because up until now, we definitely have had none. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Munshaw. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this? Please come forward.
Hi, my name is Peter Ferraro. I live 1121 Ferrier Avenue in Lefroy. My concerns are, like everybody else, the traffic in the area, but also environmental when it comes to the aquifer that's going to have to be dewatered and all the people on wells in the area, how that's going to affect everybody's well. Also, that's all swampland that directly dumps its water into Lake Simcoe. So this will have nothing but a negative effect on the lake, which has already been affected greatly by all the other residential developments in the area. My concern for this development also is that, like the other development we talked about earlier today, they're talking about 2,000 square foot townhomes. How are those affordable for regular working citizens? Those are going to be bought up by developers, by other businesses, and they're going to be rented out. So none of this is going to be beneficial to first-time home buyers or anything like that. This is going to be something that's for continuing to make rich people richer. I would, as opposed to seeing a bunch of townhomes, why don't we make single homes? Rather than putting a 2,000 square foot townhome that's going to cost $1.2 million, because that's probably what it's going to go for, why don't we build a 1,200 square foot single home on a 60 by 80 lot? It looks a lot nicer. And those are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Other questions and comments? I'll ask one more time. Is there any more questions or comments on this application? I'll ask the clerk, have we had any comments come in while we're talking online?
Thank you, Your Worship. No emails have been received during the meeting.
Thank you. I'll go to members of the council who've got questions or comments. Councillor Drodge.
Thanks, Your Worship. More of a comment. I think when you look at this commercial block, we should be looking at it bigger than Lefroy. This commercial block would help Guildford, Fennel's Corners, part of the 6th line, Bellewart, Churchill. That's just a few communities in the area that would feed off this commercial block. I agree with George over there that this is a long-needed thing. We don't need any more residential in Lefroy right now. We need commercial. We need people to be able to go to a space, go to a grocery store, walk to that grocery store instead of having to drive 15, 20 minutes. Commercial space in this location with 2 schools directly across from it is a much-needed thing, and it should be nothing but commercial.
Thank you, Councillor Drodge. Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Your Worship. I agree. We talk about walkable communities and sustainability, and our planner here from the developer says, oh, they can drive up to the 8th line. That's absolutely ridiculous. It's, it's 10, 15-minute drive to spew all sorts of carbon to get there when they could have, this is already designated as commercial. Lefroy needs more commercial development, and I think it should stay as commercial as opposed to be developed as townhouse residential. So I agree wholeheartedly with Councillor Drodge on that. My second question is the fact that it backs on to some wetlands, and the fact that I don't see anything here that talks about stormwater management. With climate change and increased runoffs, I don't see anything here around how you're going to manage the water. It's going to be dumping into, I assume, a creek that runs through here. It doesn't show on the map. I assume there's a creek there. That's only going to create downstream issues around flooding, and there's already a lot of flooding in this neighborhood. So I have some serious concerns around stormwater management. I totally agree that it should stay as commercial and increase the walkability of Lefroy. Lefroy is a nice place to live, and we'd like to see it stay that way. So, and the last thing I'll mention too is that I am concerned with is making all these townhouse developments condo related. The roads are narrower. We talk about making things affordable. Well, it's one thing to buy a townhouse which is affordable because it's smaller, but then you have to throw your condo fees on top of that. And so all of a sudden now, if you'd had something larger that was maybe just freehold as opposed to condo development, I think it would, in the long term, would be much more affordable than these, because then if you have any issues, you're not reporting to the town. We can't help you because, we don't own the land. We're not responsible for snow plowing or garbage. Well, garbage picking, we still are, the county is. So there's a few of my concerns I have on this application, and I totally support the people that came up here to express their concerns over this development. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor, or Deputy Mayor Fowler, and then Councillor Ices.
Thank you, Worship. I concur with the councillors. The idea of a commercial space being misused or not applicable is foolhardy, in my opinion. I mean, I'm looking at Google Maps right now. From Grange Hall to John Snow Frills is 8.4 kilometers. So you're telling people that, you have to go up 4 lines into an intersection that next year is going to be under construction as they revamp Innisfil Beach Road and the lights and the railroad tracks, and say, well, that's just the way it's supposed to be. No, we can do better for our community. We talk about local businesses. If you take a look, there's 3 restaurants within walking distance. One's out of a trailer that does catering. One is in a building that goes month to month, is having issues. A third one is a very small one that's potentially looking for another location, somewhere secure. This provides an opportunity for the businesses in the area to reestablish themselves and add to the community. You can add things for the kids there. The idea of 102 homes in a tiny little area, it's too much. It's way too much. And as much as I can appreciate the sweetening of the pot with the environmentally protected lands being added, it's not enough to offset the damage that's going to be done to the area. We need more for that community. It's a community within Innisfil. Innisfil is not just Innisfil Beach Road. It's not just a commercial along Innisfil Beach Road. It's the small towns within the community that need their own places that people can go to, that kids can walk to, that if a senior needs an Uber, it's just down the road, or they can take their stroller or their walker and go with. Like, we want to create community, not congestion. And what this does is it just doesn't gel. It creates more problems than it solves. Thank you.
Councillor Ices.
Thank you, Worship. I agree with my fellow councillors, and I really appreciate the residents expressing their concerns. We know that Innisfil is a collection of small towns, Lefroy being one of them, and I think in planning our towns, we've really missed opportunities to think it through how we want each little town to look. I know in Alcona we struggle a lot. How do we create a downtown in Alcona? And the mistakes that we made where we filled it full of residential, and now we have no room for commercial. You have to, there's kilometers between grocery stores and there's no feel to it. It's just been kind of added on and added on. So I'm hoping that when staff comes back, that they can analyze, what we want our village of Lefroy to look like, because this property is the gateway to Lefroy, and so I think it deserves a little bit more consideration as that. We've missed opportunities in the past for gateways to our villages to develop them in a way that benefits our town. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Councillor Constantine.
I just want to agree with everyone that it should remain commercial and it should not be rezoned as residential, because we certainly need the commercial.
Thank you. Councillor Zanella.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I also agree with my fellow councilors. I don't understand why we have to change it from, or why there's a need to change it from commercial. I think it should stay commercial. We're growing communities, and as we grow, I think we need to have a little, some type of a small commercial area, a mall or something, a strip mall, something for the people in the area so they don't have to keep going out. And I think we're going to find that with all the communities we're building that, we're going to have to have some sort of commercial in all these areas to support the residents. Thank you.
Councillor Drodge?
Thanks, Your Worship. Just one more comment. We have commercial growth in Cookstown. We have commercial growth in the Lockhart 25th area that's up and coming. We have growth in IBR. We have no growth in the southern eastern corridor for commercial in Innisfil, zero. This is the perfect spot. I believe it's close to the most southern spot you could put it with water, wastewater available, because once you go any more southern than that, you'd be running out of those services. So this is the perfect location to add commercial growth in that area.
Seeing no more hands, I had a couple of questions. So, Mr. McKinnon, you spoke about the lack of need for commercial in the Altus group study that your company had done. But my question would be, are you using data from the official plan, so designated, versus actually running as commercial? I guess what the point I'm getting at is you identified on that one map that you could walk to areas that were designated commercial, which is entirely true. They're designated commercial, but I can tell you that some of the areas that are designated commercial now are century-old residential homes that will remain century-old residential homes for the foreseeable future. And putting that level of designation on top of them, I understand means in the future it could be, but I would be interested in the Altus study being actually commercial, operating now as commercial versus designated in the official plan commercial. I wonder if that Altus group study covers that.
Through your worship, it covers both. So it looks at what's there today versus what is designated and available, and it looks at vacant land that's designated for commercial uses. It looks at land that is not vacant, but maybe has a home or otherwise something else on it that's designated commercial. So as part of their work, they have reviewed all of those items.
Thank you very much for that. And the next question I have for you is parkland dedication.
So good question. This is a block on a registered plan that formed part of an overall development scheme or development area. And my client is also part of the Alcona developer, or sorry, the Alsami developers group in the area. So parkland has been covered for this block because obviously it would have been based at 2%. So if there is a differential required, it would be paid through cash in lieu.
Are you identifying any of the EP land as parkland?
Tell me a municipality that takes parkland for EP land and I would love you to death, but that doesn't happen.
It used to until we caught on, so I'm
Not for 25 years it hasn't, since I've been doing this business. So.
Well, I've been here for 33, so.
Fair enough.
It did happen, so until we figured it out. And then a cut fill analysis, does that mean you need fill for this?
Like every site, there is a cut fill analysis that has to be taken, so parts of it will be cut, parts of it will be filled, so yes.
Importing excess fill to this site, is that part of the plan?
That I can't answer, I don't know.
Thank you, Mr. McKinnon. So My comment to our staff then, when you're reviewing that Altus group study about commercial needs, to use the piece about not the designated piece, but to look carefully at what is actively a commercial establishment right now versus the wider designation, understanding that Killarney Beach Road is a fairly new settlement area downtown that has not been developed as such historically and has a lot of residential properties that are now designated commercial that shouldn't be captured as commercial in that study. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none. We'll now go to the recommendation to receive the comments provided this evening. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Drodge and seconded by Councillor Constantine. All those in favor? That is carried. Anyone who wishes to provide comment regarding these applications may still do so and may also register as an interested party to be notified before this item is considered by council or by contacting the clerk's office at innisfil.ca. Council thanks everyone for their participation, and we'll now go to the confirming bylaw and adjournment. Moved by Councillor Drodge, seconded by Councillor Richardson, that we adjourn at 8:19 p.m. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, everyone, for your participation this evening, and for those online for watching.